Hey everyone, and welcome to my channel. Today we're embarking on a journey to unravel the fascinating world of adverbs of frequency. These little words, like always, usually or sometimes, might seem simple, but they play a crucial role in expressing how often we do things. Whether you're a teacher looking to spice up your grammar lessons or a learner aiming to refine your English, understanding adverbs of frequency is like adding a vital ingredient to the recipe of fluent communication. So buckle up, grab your notebooks, and get ready to unlock a new level of language mastery. Stay tuned for some advantageous tips to enhance your English skills. Alright, grammar enthusiasts, let's start with the golden rule of adverbs of frequency placement. Adverbs of frequency are those handy little words that tell us how often something happens. Words like always, never, often, sometimes, and rarely fall into this category. They are essential in adding clarity and detail to our sentences, making our communication more precise and engaging. Where do these adverbs like to hang out in a sentence? Well, their favorite spot is usually right before the main verb. This placement helps to emphasize the frequency of the action being described. For example, in the sentence, she always eats pizza, the adverb always is placed directly before the verb eats, making it clear that this is a regular occurrence. Well, think of them as eager beavers, always wanting to be front and center right before the main verb. This positioning not only highlights the adverb, but also ensures that the sentence flows smoothly and logically. It's like giving the adverb a spotlight, allowing it to shine and convey its meaning effectively. Let's say we have the sentence, she eats pizza. This is a simple, straightforward statement. But what if we want to add more detail? What if we want to specify how often she indulges in this cheesy goodness? This is where our adverb of frequency comes into play. Now, if we want to specify how often she indulges in this cheesy goodness, we simply slide in the adverb of frequency before the verb eats. So, she always eats pizza tells us this is a regular occurrence. The adverb always modifies the verb eats, giving us a clearer picture of her eating habits. So, she always eats pizza tells us this is a regular occurrence. This simple addition transforms the sentence, providing more information and making it more interesting. It's a small change, but it makes a big difference in how we understand the action being described. However, there's a slight plot twist when the verb to be enters the scene. Unlike other verbs, the verb to be has its own set of rules when it comes to adverb placement. Instead of placing the adverb before the verb, we place it after the verb. This is an important exception to remember. In this case, our adverb of frequency politely steps aside and takes the position after the verb to be. For example, in the sentence, he is always on time, the adverb always comes after the verb is. This placement still emphasizes the frequency of the action, but follows the specific rule for the verb to be. For instance, he is always on time demonstrates this exception. This sentence structure might feel a bit different at first, but with practice, it becomes second nature. Understanding these nuances helps us to construct sentences that are both grammatically correct and clear in meaning. For instance, he is always on time demonstrates this exception. This sentence structure might feel a bit different at first, but with practice, it becomes second nature. Understanding these nuances helps us to construct sentences that are both grammatically correct and clear in meaning. Remember, grammar loves a bit of order, and understanding adverb placement is key to constructing grammatically sound sentences. By mastering the placement of adverbs of frequency, we can make our writing more precise and our communication more effective. So, keep practicing, and soon these rules will become second nature. Let's talk about always. This little adverb is the ultimate champion of consistency, the gold medalist of regularity. When you use always, you're essentially saying that something happens 100% of the time without fail. Imagine the sun rising every morning. That's an always situation. It's as reliable as the changing seasons. Now, think about your daily routine. Do you have any always activities? Maybe you always brush your teeth before bed, or always have that first cup of coffee to kickstart your day. These are actions so ingrained in our habits that they've earned the always badge of honor. Remember, always signifies unwavering consistency, a concept that's as constant as the stars in the night sky. Now let's move on to usually and generally. These two adverbs are essential tools in our linguistic toolkit, helping us describe actions that occur with regularity but not with absolute certainty. These adverbs are like the frequent flyers of the adverb world. Just as frequent flyers are often seen in airports, usually and generally are commonly used in our daily conversations. They don't quite reach the always level of consistency, but they're still pretty dedicated to their actions. Think of them as the reliable friends who show up most of the time, but not always. Think of it this way: if always is doing something 100% of the time, usually and generally clock in around 80 to 90%. This means that while they are dependable, there's still some room for flexibility. They're the actions we do most of the time, with a few exceptions sprinkled in. For example, you might usually have coffee in the morning, but occasionally you might opt for tea instead. For instance, you might say, "I usually go for a run in the morning." This indicates that running is a regular part of your routine, but not an unbreakable habit. This implies that while you're a dedicated runner, there might be the occasional morning when you hit the snooze button instead. Life happens, and sometimes we need that extra bit of rest. Remember, usually and generally are your go-to adverbs for describing actions that are regular but not set in stone. They provide a sense of routine and predictability while still allowing for the unexpected. So, the next time you find yourself describing your habits or routines, think about how usually and generally can add nuance to your statements. They help paint a more accurate picture of your daily life, capturing the balance between consistency and flexibility. Embrace these adverbs as part of your linguistic repertoire, and you'll find that they make your descriptions richer and more relatable. After all, life is rarely black and white, and usually and generally help us navigate the many shades of grey. Next up, we have often and frequently, the adverbs that indicate actions we do on a regular basis, but not as consistently as always or usually. Think of them as the friends you see often, but not every single week. These adverbs are a bit more flexible in terms of frequency. Often might mean a couple of times a week, while frequently could imply several times a week or even more. For example, you could say, "I often go to the movies," suggesting that cinema trips are a regular part of your life, but not necessarily a weekly occurrence. Remember, often and frequently are your allies when you want to express regularity without the pressure of absolute consistency. Finally, let's explore the adverbs that occupy the lower end of the frequency spectrum. Sometimes, occasionally, rarely, seldom, and never. These adverbs are essential in our language as they help us express the nuances of how often something occurs. They add depth and precision to our communication, allowing us to convey the exact frequency of an event or action. These adverbs are like the friends you wish you saw more often, the ones who bring a special kind of joy when they do appear. They are the words that help us describe those rare and cherished moments in life. But life, or in this case grammar, has other plans. Just as we can't always control how often we see our friends, we can't always predict when these adverbs will be needed. They are the wildcards of the language, appearing when least expected but always making an impact. Sometimes is the most frequent of the bunch, indicating that an action happens from time to time. It's like a casual acquaintance who pops in occasionally, bringing a sense of familiarity and comfort. This adverb suggests a moderate level of frequency, not too often but not too rare either. It's the perfect word to describe events that occur with some regularity, but are not part of our daily routine. Occasionally is a step down, implying that something happens even less frequently than sometimes. It's like a friend you see only a few times a year, making each encounter special and memorable. This adverb is perfect for those events that are infrequent but still occur more than once in a blue moon. It adds a touch of rarity to our descriptions, making them more vivid and interesting. Then we have rarely and seldom, which are like the elusive creatures of the adverb world, popping up only on the rarest of occasions. These words are used to describe events that are so infrequent that they almost never happen. They are the perfect choice for emphasizing the scarcity of an event, making it clear that it is a rare occurrence. These adverbs add a sense of wonder and uniqueness to our language. Popping up only on the rarest of occasions, they are like shooting stars or rare flowers that bloom once in a while, adding a touch of magic to our descriptions. And lastly, we have never, the ultimate denier of action. This adverb signifies that something doesn't happen at all. It's the word we use to describe the impossible or the non-existent. Never is a powerful word, conveying absolute certainty that an event will not occur. It is the final word in the spectrum of infrequency, leaving no room for doubt or ambiguity, signifying that something doesn't happen at all. It is the ultimate expression of absence. It is the word we use when we want to be unequivocal about the non-occurrence of an event. Remember, these adverbs are your tools for expressing infrequency. Those actions that add a touch of variety or rarity to our lives. They help us paint a more accurate picture of how often things happen, adding depth and richness to our language. So the next time you want to describe how often something occurs, think about the spectrum of infrequency and choose the adverb that best fits the situation. These words are not just about frequency, they are about adding color and texture to our stories, making them more engaging and meaningful. Well, that's it for today's deep dive into the world of adverbs of frequency. I hope you found this exploration as enlightening as I did. Remember, mastering these adverbs is like adding a fine-tuning knob to your English, allowing you to express the nuances of how often you do things with precision and clarity. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more English learning tips. See you in the next video.